Hey, so this is my video for week 1 of the LSBA. My live recording did not record any of the audio because I had accidentally gone into the settings and clicked mute as an attempt to stop some sort of echo thing. That didn't work. So I was running Porygon 2. I gave him Ice Beam to mess with Garchomp, because I thought Garchomp was the main threat to this team because of its Dragon Tail. I did not know before this battle that Trick Room had a negative priority, so it actually goes after Dragon Tail, which is already a very negative priority. That's a fun rule. This is my first year doing any Trick Room thing. I had, according to my calculations, this team was supposed to work very well on paper. He was supposed to not have any real counters to Calm Mind Cresselia. And so these 4 guys in the middle are just kind of an afterthought to support the Cresselia sweep. And I put Trick Room on there just because I thought it might work a little better than Moonblast. I might have to resort to to using these 4 guys in the middle. Yeah, I didn't know he got Pain Split. That almost got to get used, and his team is very Volt turn, so I was expecting a lot more, what is it? Volt switches. So I put Lightning Rod on him. And then of course if you have Drain Punch, you're gonna want 128 on defense and special defense, because the hit points are healed based on your damage. So if you get healed more, it just makes the hit points go a little further. This is just random super effective stuff, and let's actually watch the replay. I'm getting trashed in the Discord for a bunch of people think I didn't do the right things. I think it's Jack and Eric who are mainly ripping on me, but they would do that anyway, whether I won or lost. Okay, so here's what happens. I send in Cresselia because I kind of want to get a Trick Room started. I didn't know that Dragon Tail could go first. Luckily it switches into Ursaluna. Ideally it would have switched into Porygon 2 and I could have Ice Beamed, but now he had a lot of good answers. There were a lot of valid options he could have chosen. Staying in case of... He could have switched to Jellicent for the Facade. He could have switched to Tornadus or Thundurus in case I went for Headlong Rush. Or he could have stayed in for Fire Punch. Or he could have switched to Jellicent for Fire Punch and Facade. I think Fire Punch would have also been resisted by Urshifu, but that's the least likely. And so I was hoping for one of these switches, so I just went for Facade. I wouldn't have guessed that he'd have just stayed in, but he did the right thing. He put Rocky Helmet on here and the Rough Skin, so that did more than I could really handle. And there's a Spikes now. I don't know how to really account for hazards, so There's nothing I can do. There's nothing you can switch into with a Urshifu. And I had questioned whether this was single strike, because as you saw when I just hovered over his sprite, it showed the fight dark for some reason, but it doesn't tell you in advance which form it's gonna be. And yet almost nothing can ever switch into a Surging Strike's close combat. I put Dondozo on here just because it's one of the only things that can get a 2-hit KO from a 3-hit KO from Surging Strikes. But it doesn't really do that well against the close combat, so it's not actually a counter. They're kind of even against each other, and its curse set doesn't really help it either because of the Surging Strikes criticals as much as it normally would have, getting a defense buff. So I did not know that they gave Urshifu taunt. But in my calculations, he can kinda live some of these hits. Now, as we see, this is just a stored power Cresselia. It doesn't have Moonblast, or I didn't give it Mental Herb either because I was so trying to get this set up. But they say later that I could have got 3 KOs if I had just tried to play my team normally with Mental Herb. And I don't even bother with the stored power here because I don't want to lose it. I think I can get a setup later against one of these other 4 guys, and that'll help me. And I get the Intimidate. That doesn't really do that much. You get the resisted Sucker Punch here. I think it would have gotten KO'd in 1 turn if I didn't give him the hit points investment. And then here we go. He can survive a 1v1. He'll win a 1v1 against Urshifu. And so I need to Wild Charge, because I think he's going to go for another Surging Strikes or whatever and just sack it. No, that's not what happens. So he switches in his Volt Absorb variant of Thunderous. And now I got ripped on this for making this move. But I'm expecting him to go into Jellicent because he's gonna expect either a Drain Punch, Close Combat, or Ice Punch, and Jellicent will resist all that. So I go for, and I think the Jellicent will be faster. He can get the burn off, get a little more security here. So I go for Wild Charge, expecting the Volt switch change into Jellicent. No, I didn't know he ever got Psychic, because it's not, Psychic isn't something that really gets used in OU. And I think the Wild Charge was just me yeah, the first one was the switch into it. The second, this turn was me expecting Jellicent. I expect another Volt switch now, because I think the Volt switch would have been enough to I don't want to look up the damage calculations, but we can just go with that I expected a Volt switch. No, he goes for Psychic again. Because why not? There's no consequence for him using Psychic, so he can use Psychic. Because here I'm thinking Iron Hands can sweep if I get a Trick Room set up. And I wasn't expecting Marowak to take damage at all. And Marowak's not as good against this team as Hands is. You know, all Iron Hands needs is one good Drain Punch. And then Ghost and Ground isn't gonna be that much. It might have been choiced. There's no evidence that it's not choiced now that I see it. Oh, no. But I didn't know he got taunt either. And here's just me being hopeless. Like, there's nothing I can do to get another KO in any way. Just go for the Ice Beam. I didn't even account for this Volt Absorb, but who cares? This is me being desperate. And so Jack comments, bruh. Oh yeah, you can't see that. Bruh. That is so irritating. That is the most irritating thing to hear. Like, after the South Park episode with the teenagers who respond to everything with bruh. And then, this is me. My only hope now is to get the freeze on the Vanillix, which I don't even know if is possible. Or enough crits that it makes any kind of difference. Because I don't think... I can't switch in Iron Hands. He's gonna get frozen. I expect him to go for Taunt, though. But the spike does 12%. And really, I didn't... Yeah, and then he just taunts and toxics and taunts and does a Swords Dance, and I don't know what turn it stopped having any hope for me. I think like turn 4. Yeah. So that was week 1. 3 very good players, although somebody said that they were actually more of a cheerleader in this group. And yeah, they're making fun of me. They're saying, this was so painful to watch. That was rough. And according to my calculations, I had a very favorable matchup against this team. I was like, yeah, I have plus 17. I don't even need Trick Room to win. And then, because I was good against like 5 of the teammates besides Urshifu, but with Urshifu, I had a pretty even matchup. I didn't have anything that could really beat it. Like, something was getting KO'd along the way, and I didn't expect the taunt on any of these 3 guys. I didn't know that Vanillix got taunt. I didn't know that Thundurus got taunt. I didn't know that Urshifu got taunt. So yeah. I think I'd be sad if I won every single battle every time. So it's nice to lose sometimes. And next week, who am I battling? James. I'm beating James, okay? There's no question. I totally expect the Chartwig team to go on to playoffs and possibly even win. I heard something about how the winners of fantasy football leagues are all admins of fantasy football websites. And Chartwig is running his own draft league. And then also teaming up with 2 other really bright Pokemon players. Yeah, I'm not winning the playoffs.